There, you awakening wonders. Obviously, it's been an extraordinary and distressing week, and I thank you very much for your support and for questioning the information that you've been presented with. By now, you're probably aware that the British government have asked big tech platforms to censor our online content. That's why I'm asking you to follow me on Rumble. Rumble have made a clear commitment to free speech, and Rumble is the primary platform that we will be streaming from. We'll be back this Monday, and as usual, we'll be talking about deep state and corporate collusion.
There's Russell Brand addressing the allegations of rape and sexual misconduct that have been made against him by several women. This was reported in the UK press, and the rape allegation included text message exchanges between the woman making the allegations and Russell Brand. Now, with that said, he hasn't been prosecuted for this. He hasn't been found guilty of the allegations that have been put forth. And as a result of that, there's been some fury among conservatives in regard to some decisions that have been made on the platforms that Russell Brand had his program on. YouTube has demonetized his channel, and that has led to a lot of anger among conservatives. So let's go to YouTube's CEO, Neil Mohan, explaining the decision during a CBS Morning interview.
We have a creator responsibility guidelines policy where if creators have off-platform behavior or there's off-platform news that could be damaging to the broader creator ecosystem, you can be suspended from our monetization program. It's impacted a number of creators and personalities on the platform in the past, and that's what played out in this particular case around the serious allegation.
It's an accusation, it's not a police charge, it's not a legal decision. How do you decide when to step in before the whole due process has happened?
We endeavor to apply those rules equally across our entire creator ecosystem, not playing favorites, having them apply to the content, the behavior, as opposed to who the person is.
Now, as a result of that decision, Russell Brand decided to promote his content on Rumble. But there were some issues with Rumble as well. Despite the platform being in favor of free speech and against demonetizing, some advertisers pulled out, and I think that's a super relevant detail to the story. We'll get to that in a moment. But in regard to YouTube, conservatives like Candace Owens put this out. I'm actually struggling to comprehend how YouTube can completely demonetize someone based on allegations when there are actual drug dealers and convicts that currently have YouTube channels. How does that make sense? Hashtag Russell Brand. She also did say this, which I think is relevant to the story. Let's watch.
But in the circumstance of this particular Los Angeles woman, according to the investigation and the messages that have been produced to verify what she said in the statement, that Russell Brand raped her, apologized to her for raping her, and she went immediately to a rape crisis center. And her visit to that rape crisis center way back in 2012 has been confirmed. So I have read these text messages between her and Russell Brand, and as I said, this looks legitimate to me. I don't think that Russell Brand has yet spoken out and said that these are doctored messages. So how can we look at these messages and say that this woman is lying?
So at issue here are two different things, right? There are the allegations themselves, and from what I've gathered, some conservatives, including Candace Owens, don't minimize the allegations, right? But at the same time, they have a problem with channels getting demonetized before anyone's been tried for anything. And so before we get to Rumble, Cenk, what are your thoughts so far about that?
Yeah, so first separate out what you think of Russell Brand and what you think about demonetizing someone that has not been tried yet. Those are two separate issues, okay? So I'll get to my thoughts on Russell Brand in a minute, and I have an interesting theory on that. But in terms of YouTube, now my bias is in favor of YouTube. They're our largest partner. I tell you that bias all the time when we talk about issues related to YouTube or Facebook. And I think Neil Mohan's overall an excellent CEO, and YouTube management in my lifetime has been better than any other platforms. And I'm not saying that just willy-nilly, because I've lived in the trenches and I've seen what the other platforms have done, right? So now having said that, I disagree with him here. If the guy hasn't been convicted yet, how is it their business? I don't get it. What's the standard? Because does any charge count? Well, of course not, right? What if a rando charges you with something that has no information behind it? But then where do you draw the line? How do you draw the line? An easy place to draw the line is a conviction. That makes sense, right? But pre-conviction, I mean, I always think shoe on the other foot. Okay, yeah, it's happening to a right winger now, or whatever Russell Brand is these days, right? But if you have this loosey-goosey standard, it could be used against anyone. And besides which, you should not make decisions based on whether someone's right wing or left wing or any wing, right? So as a policy matter, I don't agree with YouTube's decision here. We can get to Russell Brand in a second.
So there's a third party, so there's YouTube, there's Rumble, where Russell Brand is now like gonna move all his content to it. He's encouraging people to watch his content there. But there's the third element to this, which is basically the UK. The UK recently passed something known as the Online Safety Bill, which sets tougher standards for social media platforms by emphasizing terrorist propaganda, child protection, and removal of illegal content. So the British law goes further than efforts elsewhere to regulate online content, forcing companies to proactively screen for objectionable material and to judge whether it is illegal rather than requiring them to act only after being alerted to illicit content. So the UK has standards that we don't have in the United States. I think their standards could be, I don't know, they seem kind of broad, right? And it seems like this is the pressure that maybe it has led to platforms like YouTube to like preemptively demonetize. So they also want to make clear that they had nothing to do with demonetizing Brand's content, saying following the decision of YouTube to demonetize Russell Brand's content on the platform and the decision of broadcasters to remove content from streaming services, the committee wrote to other platforms to understand their approach to such content. The responses received so far have been published on the committee's website. These are decisions for each platform to take. And at no point has the Culture, Media and Sports Committee, this is the committee in the UK that I'm talking about, asked any provider to remove content. The committee will review the responses to all of its correspondence on the issue when the House of Commons returns in October. But keep in mind, no one's having a conversation about removing content from Russell Brand. It's about demonetizing the content. And when it comes to Rumble, it seems like they did send Rumble some messages to try to see if they were gonna take any action. So they wrote, we would be grateful if you could confirm whether Mr. Brand is able to monetize his content, including his videos relating to the serious accusations against him. If so, we would like to know whether Rumble intends to join YouTube in suspending Mr. Brand's ability to earn money on the platform. We would also like to know what Rumble is doing to ensure that creators are not able to use the platform to undermine the welfare of victims of inappropriate and potentially illegal behavior. So Rumble responded and said, no, we don't play this game. We're not gonna demonetize him and we're not gonna give into this pressure. But then the brands pulled out, and we can get to the brands in a moment.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. What's driving all this, funny enough, given that it's a story about Russell Brand, is the brands. And advertisers don't want any controversy at all. And ironically, right wing, thanks a lot. You're the one who started this. So you started this cancel culture of, oh my God, Bud Light sent a 6-pack to Dylan Mulvaney. Oh, we now hate them and we're gonna drive down their price and we're gonna do boycotts, etc. So advertisers are super scared of anything related to politics, controversy, etc. So they're like, don't put us on Russell Brand stuff, etc. That creates a panic among all the platforms. Now, the reason why Rumble's different is because they don't have the same advertisers. So they're already, the material on there is already so toxic that no major advertiser would touch it anyway.
I mean,
it's a vat of like toxic right-wing stuff. So they have a different business model.
Sort of. I mean, the brands that have pulled out of Rumble include ASOS, HelloFresh, Burger King.
Yeah, no, I hear you. And some of those brands, I guess, decided they were gonna dip their toe in there, and that's only because they didn't get caught. You see, because the right wing creates all this pressure the minute there's anything that happens, like Colin Kaepernick stood up for black people, we hate Nike, etc., right? And they flip out over the tiniest little thing. Whereas the left wing, who used to do more boycotts in the past, right? Now is kind of muted. So like Rumble shouldn't have any advertisers. Look, I'm not in that game. I hate the going after the advertisers and stuff, right? But like of all of the things to go after, Rumble is like every kind of toxic content you could possibly imagine is on Rumble.
Considering the terrified nature of the advertisers, like they're terrified of controversy. It is surprising that they would partner and provide advertising revenue to Rumble, right? That's surprising. Now, whether or not you agree with their decision to ever advertise on Rumble, that's your decision and your opinion to have. But nonetheless, it is surprising because, again, advertisers are notoriously terrified of being associated with any controversial figure or controversial content.
Yeah.
So this has led to individuals like Charlie Kirk basically raging over brands like Burger King for pulling out of Rumble. He's basically encouraging people to stop eating there. Burger King has pulled its ads from Rumble because the free speech platform refuses to play judge, jury, and executioner of Russell Brand after UK governor demanded the platform demonetize him. Reminder, Brand has not been convicted of a single crime. Boycott Burger King. They hate free speech and due process, and their food is poison anyways. Stop eating it.
Okay, Charlie Kirk's such an idiot, okay? Because if all you cared about was monetization, and forget the left wing, forget freedom of speech, or you just care about the right wing, right? What he's doing is the worst possible thing for you guys. Why? Because if any advertiser makes the mistake of advertising with a right winger, then they're stuck forever, because the minute they pull out the ad for any reason, right? The Charlie Kirks of the world are gonna tell everybody, Burger King's the worst, make sure you hate them, right? Well, then all the advertisers are gonna go, well, we don't wanna go anywhere near that. What if we pull out for some reason?
That's true, yeah.
Then they're gonna eviscerate us. Then no, forget it, I'm not putting it in the first place.
You might not be able to have it your own way.
Oh,
or have it your way.
So look, I'll just say the last thing on Russell Brand. He knew that the press was investigating this for a long, long time. People who make the right wing turn, where they only criticize Democrats and never criticize Republicans and start leaning into conspiracy theories, watch out, because they know that that's the one group that will always protect them no matter what you find out about them. The minute you say, hey, it's a conspiracy theory and the deep state did it, 40% of America and some percentage of UK, et cetera, are gonna say, innocent, no matter what. I don't even want to hear the evidence. Innocent, it must have been the deep state. So I don't know if he went there in that direction when he was a left winger earlier. Because of this, I don't know, I really don't. But that's an interesting trend, okay?
Yeah, and with that said, he should get his due process, meaning he should actually be charged with these allegations. Rape is not a joke. It's not a small accusation. I hope prosecutors look into it.
100%. So give us justice in both directions. Give the women justice by trying him if you have the evidence, but don't demonetize him and do all these things until he's convicted. Fairest show in America.
Thanks for watching. If you become a member, you get to watch all this ad-free, except for, of course, this ad. Still, hit the join button below.